Hello, everybody. Welcome. Welcome back to the stream. Just hitting play on all the VCRs here. Just give me a moment. It's okay. We'll get to the show here right away. No need to be hasty. But, yeah. We're in the dark tonight. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show. Okay, we got stuff playing, and I'm not gonna waste too much more of your time here. Let's just get right to it. Why don't we? Hey, why don't we just get right to it?
One born to perfection, the other to might. Today, the light of these two remarkable civilizations continues to shine in the words we speak, the ideals we embrace, the games we play. Greek excellence, Roman power, a legacy that endures to this day.
And as signposts on our magnificent journey.
But if they wait for the thaw, they will never finish breeding before winter grips Antarctica in its icy fist once again. When they reach their destination, they will be tired and footsore. But they will be ready for one of the most important milestones in their lives. All animals face such critical times.
Tragically, the Parthenon had been used to store, of all things, gunpowder. One of the most beautiful buildings. Of Greece.
The story of Quebec City is written on its walls. The complex labyrinth of fortifications make...
Touched with a mystic spark of life in some ancient cosmic event, the Earth provided a nurturing cradle.
Brilliant, daring city of Athens. The Athenians dominated this extraordinary age. Athenian statesmen
Awesome
invented
places of
democracy.
Earth for answers.
Athenian artists created some of our most important
In the
masterpieces.
shadow of these great
Athenian
cowards.
scientists and
Your muscles are small and
philosophers
weak.
changed the very way we think.
When it comes to your abdominals, body fat is the ultimate
During the
difference
5th
between
century
having a
BC,
stomach that's
Athens
strong
grew-
that bulges and one that is strong and flat. So remember, if you want to lose excess body fat and firm up, it's a combination of all.
4 hours.
She moves to shallower waters where she will be safer from predators.
Give you long-lasting results.
But she does not go.
Toe of Giza,
A female relative
With great
perhaps a
pyramids.
sister, goes with her.
And the muscles along your side. These muscles at the front.
First, the 3-foot calf begins to make an appearance. This is a vulnerable time.
Sheer size as they were inimitable in the grace of their outlines. Since the artists tried to excel themselves in the beauty of their workmanship, each of them men supposed would take many generations to build. But in fact, the entire project was carried through in the high summer of war.
Meanwhile, the family have heard the news. They all come out to greet him. With creased skin and weak fins, the newborn is not yet a strong swimmer. He sticks close to his mother to keep him safe from attack. The bond between mother and calf is very strong.
When Pericles came to power in 461 BC, Athens flourished as few cities ever have.
Ours is no workaday city. No other provides so many recreations of the spirit. Our love of what is beautiful does not make us soft. We regard wealth as something to be properly used rather than as something to boast about.
The city was completed within 50 years, designed by the finest architects in Greece. It was a workforce that brought together the best craftsmen from all over the Mediterranean. Athens buzzed with new energy, and most of all, new ideas. Social gatherings called symposia, or literally a time of drinking together, were occasions not just to watch pretty girls dance, but to talk. The star guest would be the brilliant philosopher Socrates.
That's the same meaning. So he started a campaign to convince people. He put drawings into the newspaper proposing to rebuild the gates.
On the American prairies, 4/5 of all bison calves are born within 3 weeks of each other. There's a dual purpose to this synchrony. Food is plentiful now, but the newborn bison are also defenseless against attacks by coyotes and bears. If hundreds, or in days gone by, thousands are born at the same time, the number lost to predators will be only a small proportion of the new generation. In the sea, it seems that almost every animal uses this strategy. The rhythms of sea creatures' lives are orchestrated by the moon and tides. Across the oceans of the world, mass spawnings are linked to the phases of the moon. When many animals spawn together, vast numbers of young are produced at the same time, glutting the predators that would otherwise decimate the new generation. And for many ocean animals, there are other advantages.
They are built of a peat processing company near the English town of Lindown.
Strong abs are important, and how to lose that excess fat. You ready for the Body Break Ab Master? I'll go through a 7-minute basic routine, and Joanne has a 7-minute advanced workout a little later. But first, let's pump up the music and warm up. Put your head on the neck rest, hands above your head, and really reach it out. Stretch it out. Breathe nice and deeply through this and relax. Bring your knees up, roll to one side. You really feel a stretch in your lower back and your obliques. Keep those hands above your head at all times. Now come to the center and roll to the other side. Try to keep your knees together as much as possible. And as I said before, it's important to breathe and relax. Bring it back to center. Put your hands in the basic position. And come up for a count of 2. Hold and down. Now single count.
No other father on earth performs this feat.
and were known to interfere
on the plentiful plankton that also floats in the sea.
They could be rational and helpful, or mischievous and vindictive. Anyone who offended them.
Scottish castle.
First, a strong cord of animal sinew was knotted around.
Felt right at home,
Tightened. Then came 2 savage blows to the head. Finally, a knife was used to sever an artery in his neck.
Speeds of up to 25 miles an hour.
Nice and easy. There you go. Now single count.
Definite gold medalist.
create dynamic posters and advertisements to trumpet Banff's special magic.
All in the name
Were Banff's
honoring Apollo.
for kings, queens, and movie stars.
The great temple of Apollo was also home to a kind of
Man's legends often recognize the dolphin as a creature to be treated with respect.
According to legend, when Elizabeth was murdered,
Make sure that you don't use your arms too much.
Seem to reach world to
A priest took their questions to the oracle, or Pythia, as she was called.
The mountains that surround it. Another place that defined Canada to the world.
These garbled messages that the priest,
Life and death.
Dawson City's moment in the
meeting that suited him best.
Australia. The curiosity seems to be mutual.
Tales of glitter and greed that began with a stroke of
stood. When Croesus, king of Lydia, asked if he should attack the Persian Empire, he was told, if you go to
and the man who most recently experienced
a
the
great
haunting,
kingdom,
Colin Mitchell, provides eyewitness.
he went to war. The kingdom he destroyed was his own.
A belief in this special affinity.
to travel thousands of miles to the Klondike.
Another unofficial ritual took
Single count.
In winter, it is said, women would climb Mount Parnassus directly behind Delphi and perform wild dances.
This is just one of thousands. Strange bouquets, gently.
They were called Maenads.
Some ran out of money before even getting.
Maenads were...
Others found the journey
Change legs.
hard. Still others who managed to get to Dawson City found that all the claims had already been staked. Nonetheless, they turned Dawson into a thriving boom town.
Dawson was wild and woolly, I guess. Busy, 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 you know, people all over the place and people looking for jobs, you know, in 98 and 99 and that. And the bars, saloons wide open, 6 days a week.
In its heyday, Dawson had all the conveniences: running water, steam heating, moving pictures, and even a telephone system. It was an island of civilization that was deadly difficult to reach. One of the most direct routes to Dawson was by way of a grueling trail over the mountains through the infamous Chilkoot Pass. On the other side was Bennett Lake. From here, it was 900 kilometers downriver by boat to Dawson City. So many inexperienced adventurers were making the trek that the government of Canada was forced to impose rules. Every stampeder was required to have 2,000 pounds of supplies before they were allowed to continue. The trail was too steep for horses, so if you couldn't afford to hire Aboriginal packers, you carried the load yourself, 50 pounds at a time. That meant as many as 40 trips uphill. On your own, that could take 3 months. The Chilkoot Trail became known as the meanest and cruelest 32 miles in the world. But they still came. Between the summer of 1897 and the spring of 1899, 30,000 people launched an assault on the Chilkoot Trail. By 1900, the Klondike Gold Rush was all but over. The gold that could be taken out easily by hand was virtually gone. The Chilkoot was a wasteland of abandoned equipment. The rock and soil still held treasure, but getting at it required heavy machinery. Giant dredging machines began appearing on the landscape. They were able to process tons of crushed rock and extract the gold. Dawson was transformed from a boom town into a corporate town. Eventually, even the big mining companies could no longer turn a profit. The last one shut down in 1966. Smaller outfits now continue the hunt. Many of them are family-owned and operated. There's still gold in these hills, enough to lure a new generation of dreamers, and enough to remind us of the time when Dawson City staked its claim as Canada's El Dorado.
It's the best time. As darkness falls, many of the ocean's deep water creatures swim to the surface.
It's easy to imagine that Lucy might still be there. Tales of the Europe's ancient homes, but certainly
These creatures from the mysterious deep are no match for the Olympic swimmer. If these brilliant hunters linger here in daylight, they could become the hunted. Even an athletic spinner would have trouble getting away from this. Not one, but a group of hammerhead sharks. Sharks which can appear from any direction. They spell danger. In some areas, sharks are credited with the death of a fifth of all young dolphins.
they still walk the North Tower of Chillingham Castle.
Of Hawaii. The spinners seek a sheltered bay with a narrow entrance. Here, sharks can only attack from one predictable direction. The clear, shallow waters also make shark spotting a lot easier. They are highlighted against the white sand. Robbed of their element of surprise, a shark may even be chased away by a fierce gang of neighborhood dolphins. Our young bottlenose calf is now 3 months old. He is learning the benefits of living in a protective group, but he also has to learn the rules.
On her again.
More.
See that they're carrying trade bales. And on the first trade bale, you've got the letters HB, Hudson's Bay Company. So that dollar is the
She does
only
this by
Canadian
pushing
coin
the
that
calf
carries
down
advertising.
towards the seabed.
Another Antarctic.
She holds him there, emitting a continuous stream of discipline.
In many ways, Socrates was the complete Athenian. He served with courage and distinction as a soldier and as a statesman, and in this way fulfilled the Athenian ideal. At the same time, though, he demanded explanations, he demanded definitions of his fellow citizens. He described himself, after all, as a gadfly, as a stinging fly on the great sluggish rump.
To create the dye.
The young dolphin. What he will never need is an eye test. His eyesight is already
This young,
fully
wandering
developed.
albatross has touched land.
Dolphins not only
Now,
have the
at
ability
last,
to
it is
see in
time for
very
her to
low
select a
levels of
mate.
light. They can
She
even
begins to rehearse the
compensate for
ritual
way
that she will
light
repeat every time she returns from the
Decades earlier,
Must have a very precise size and shape.
Of room 10,
The investigators gathered in a suite at the Bell Hotel.
where all this phenomena has
They're
been
here to
going on.
review the evidence and develop the
both.
bring their ultimate objective,
They can change the shape of
evidence of a ghost.
At any time, if it gets too difficult, stop and rest and then pick up.
But its significance has long been a puzzle, at least to humans.
Blind and suffered.
A million of them per year. Facility in Winnipeg.
Pericles' own sister, and then to his horror,
Okay, last one.
spread like
All
wildfire.
right. Cross arm position. Doesn't matter either way. Either hand over. Slowly rotate to the right. Come up and hold. And down. Tighten those obliques when you come up.
For all the apparent variety, each bird in its way performs the same dance.
When you looked,
but it's a
no. Tightly tucked in.
You feel.
Strange behaviour. Well, there's
Simply
no-
cruising along the seabed. The mother
genuinely
is giving her calf an echolocation.
The
lesson. She scans the area, clicking as she swims.
Just widen your grip, and that will increase the intensity.
There is no hiding place for their prey by digging in. Ultrasonic clicks can even penetrate into the sand.
Right to breed with up to 20 females.
But until he's
Each male is armed and ready to challenge his rivals.
echolocation,
Vocal
will have
cords
to
are the
rely
first
on his
weapons to
mother's
attack,
ability to find
a way
food.
to judge each other's stamina and determination.
separates the living.
Be determined creatures.
Ritual parallel walk. In close proximity, the body language speaks. Few serious
Sparta for dominance.
It's called crater feeding because of the marks it leaves on the seabed.
Again, if you want to increase the intensity,
It's brilliantly camouflaged, but no match for a dolphin calf who has learned to use his echolocation to tell the difference between sand
4 BC, Athens was utterly defeated.
For many of the same reasons that made it great. That aggressiveness, that competitiveness, that need to be first and best, wore them out.
But echolocation is not entirely foolproof. These spinner dolphins have
In this darkness, hands were joined, minds were focused, and the bereaved waited for the moment when the medium became a channel or a spirit of the dead. In the gloom of the seance chamber, anything seemed possible. People saw visions of dead loved ones, tables lifted of their own accord.
Wrote.
Yet for many spiritualists, all these strange manifestations
For 70
were
years.
quite beside the point.
Lethal than the red deer's antlers are the horns of the Grant's gazelle. If you carry dueling weapons like these, it's important to be sure that you're going to win before you use them. On the plains of East Africa, male gazelles size each other up in the same parallel walk that red deer use. But because hostilities are far more likely to result in death, the walk develops not into a fight, but a graceful gavotte. still. The risk is real, and one of the dancers will back down. Males are most likely to fight when large numbers of females are clustered together, and all ready to breed at the same time. On the island of South Georgia, 1,100 miles from the tip of South America, female elephant seals beach together by the hundreds to give birth.
Quality more durable even than stone in the legacy of Athens. This was a city whose brilliant light shone so powerfully that it defined Western intellectual thought for centuries.
It is hard to go down a street without seeing some vestige of our enthusiasm for a Greek way of life.
Fungi in the world.
Life's major milestones are telescoped into a few short weeks.
2,000 years later, to affect the lives of people
The pups may be vulnerable.
world.
This, then, is the kind of city for which men, losing her, nobly fought and died. Mighty indeed are the marks and at us now.
On the march, Louis Riel's rebellion had to be crushed, and the Mounties needed horses.
Living in complete harmony with his environment. Dolphins are complex creatures. It seems impossible to make hard and fast rules about their behavior.
In that story, a princess...
W.R. Motherwell has since been credited with popularizing summer fallowing, a technique still used by farmers across the West. Motherwell introduced other innovations. He was the first farmer in the area.
About the genetic line.
She-wolf.
It trapped the melting snow in the spring and assured a steady supply of fresh water through the summer.
More than just build a city. More than 100 years before the birth of Christ, they built the ancient world's greatest empire. The Roman war machine destroyed the empire of Carthage, gaining vast territories in North Africa and Spain. Greece and Asia Minor fell next. By 45 BC, the armies of Julius Caesar had invaded Egypt, vanquished the Gauls of modern-day...
It was a remarkable...
and crossed the English...
the success of all those prairie pioneers. The success of prairie farming would...
And the city flourished. 1 million people crowded its jumbled streets and broad avenues. A dozen languages rang through her plazas just as they do today. Gauls, Syrians, Jews, and
goods
Egyptians
from the east
exchanged ideologies, goods, and
in the wheat boom just before World War I, Winnipeg shipped and sold more grain than any other place on the continent. It boasted the largest rail yards in the British Empire. The trains also brought in waves of people seeking a new life. Money seemed to flow through the streets of Winnipeg. It became a mecca for the greatest architects and artisans of the era. They dubbed it the Chicago of the North and created the towering monuments of the Exchange District.
Survives intact.
Winnipeg's building boom was spectacular. At one point, the city actually ran out of cement, sending builders scrambling to find new supplies. "37 massive warehouses were constructed to store the sea of grain and mountains of goods that were
predominantly Richardsonian Romanesque style. And this is our...
All the gods of the empire. Its bronze doors open to Romans and pilgrims alike. Where the Pantheon embraced the gods of the Roman Empire, a very different building celebrated its conquests. "14 stories high, the Colosseum dominated the Roman skyline. It was a theater devoted to the dark side of conquest. The costumes, the actors, and the props were real. Like players from hell, Roman gladiators ascended to a stage of blood to celebrate the glory of the ultimate empire. From underground chambers, they entered the most infamous stage of the ancient world. The opening ceremonies lasted 100 days. 10,000 wild animals were slaughtered for the sake of entertainment. Helpless prisoners of war were butchered by the hundreds, and 3,000 gladiators fought, many to the death.
The arowana fish is also taking extraordinary steps to feed.
Small objects stop.
She'll make the trip again and again until she's ferried all her young to the safety of the nursery.
Fit and having fun by doing aerobic activity, which is swimming, eating a low-fat, high-fiber diet. Now that's what it's...
Masked bandits are raccoons.
But boom turned to bust with the coming of world.
The Romans captured animals from all over the world.
Many of its young entrepreneurs in the killing fields of France.
There were things just taking off and flying across the room, people ducking, women screaming.
High-fiber, low-fat diet.
Usually seen in small groups, feeding on piranha and other fish.
The Enfield poltergeist became a sensation. But as newspapers across the country picked up the story, doubts began to arise in Morris's mind.
My belief in the whole case, I think, really changed over the time I was there. Things that were happening in the house the next day were in the paper. Turned it almost into this.
Contrary to popular belief, thumbs up meant death, not life. Why did the Romans come here to celebrate death?
Okay, everybody, welcome to the intermission. Thank you for watching. We have, I think, up to 3 viewers watching live, which is absolutely amazing. Just amazing. This is crazy. I hope you're enjoying the jam. We're about 35 minutes in. I remembered to record this time, so to get the recording up shouldn't take too long. Anyways, I guess I'll get back to the show because I have nothing more to say or to tell you other than thank you for watching. Thank you for watching.
With detailed instructions on building fallout shelters in backyards and basements.
All listeners are warned to stay in. It is the best of times.
Petronius, a Roman writer, reflected on the lust for power.
It seemed as if the entire world was in the hands of the victorious Romans. They possessed the earth and the seas and the stars, but were not satisfied.
Neither was Caesar. For centuries, Roman authority rested in the hands of a Senate, elected by the ruling class. In 45 BC, 4 years after his triumphant procession, Caesar disbanded the Republic and declared himself dictator. Many senators were outraged. Their anger reached its peak on March 15th. Caesar came to the forum. In revenge for Caesar's assassination, his allies slaughtered 300 senators. 13 years of civil war followed. Roman soldiers died by the tens of thousands. The empire was saved by Caesar's adopted son, Augustus, who crushed all who stood in his way.
Fins get the fish and the birds.
Is interesting.
No one knows why, but they
It gives a totally different picture in many ways, a different
The headrest bar.
on the problem we've got.
So if
And destroy it. He governed an empire held together.
Full alert.
Victory. A bloodless battle with
Kick from its long legs could stop a fully grown lion in its tracks.
Ultimate threat slowly faded away. The peaceful countryside had concealed one of Canada's great Cold War secrets.
In many parts of the world, the passage from life to death is not imagined as a final journey.
letters could cross the empire in a matter of
For the
weeks via
followers of
Pony
Buddhism,
Express.
it's merely a brief interruption in the
Postal system in the world until the invention.
is a member of the Dolphin.
Along these highways, the lifeblood of the
including the
empire.
tenets of Tibetan Buddhism.
Chinese silks and glassware. From South Arabia, exotic perfume.
They exhibit many classic dolphin traits. They live in complex social groups, communicating with a wide range of sounds.
These of past lives.
It's folded over your chest, upper arms. Here are some key points to keep in mind in order to use your Body Break Abmaster safely and effectively. Always leave your head on the headrest and relax your neck muscles. When arms are straight, keep elbows soft. Don't lock or hyperextend. Don't forget to breathe.
Being shot and killed.
Titu's vivid memory of this violent event prompted a search for evidence to support his incredible claim. It was soon discovered that on the very day of his birth, a robbery had gone terribly wrong. In a warehouse just a few miles from the boy's birthplace, a panicking thief had opened fire on one of the workers. The gunman's victim, a man named Suresh Rama. He was killed by a single shot to the head. What sets this case apart is that the young boy's claim of reincarnation is supported by physical evidence. 2 birthmarks, one on the brow and one on the back of his head.
When the autopsy report is compared to the birthmarks on his head, it is found that the birthmarks on his head are exactly in the same position as the bullet wounds in the head of Suresh Verma. Not only that, but the wounds are slightly different in size, and they are exactly...
Is the reincarnation of their dead son.
We need to open more people's minds to the possibility that we are more than just this body.
Keep going. Come on, last 2. Great. Now we change positions. Feet go to the right side. Hands still and stay in the basic position. And up. This is going to be working your side obliques. Nice and easy. There you go. Now single count.
When he grows up, the young hippo will enter a fiercely competitive society, where only the strongest males, able to beat off the opposition and hold a territory, will get to breed. But that's some way off.
What to a previous defend himself and compete for a mate. But these from begin in adolescence.
Affliction of her hands. After a series of failed remedies, she turned to regression therapy.
It's okay, now just step back.
We went back, we didn't quite know where we were going to go, we didn't know what we were going to find, we didn't know if it was going to work. And we eventually found this person called Melissa,
on the Trent Severn.
and through a series of questions from Mars, we found that it was 1608.
How are they taking me down these steps and I don't want to go?
Suddenly the breathing rate increased dramatically, facial muscles changed, and there was an enormous amount of movement with Carol's hands.
Ow, I've been caught.
Dolphins show anger or annoyance through exaggerated body language, jaw snapping, rapid clicking, squaring up to another dolphin, all signs of aggressive intent. These mock fights are a good place to learn the rules of fighting and to recognize threats. Like all teenagers, the play can get out of hand, so the older, wiser males appear to keep an eye on things.
An empire.
But the spotted dolphins know the answer. Teamwork. They work together to turn the tables on the largest bottlenose. They may be small, but they make a formidable gang. They face up to the aggressor. He threatens them with an arched back and upright stance. But eventually, he is the one chasing.
Come on.
To keep your legs at it.
Just for the fun of it.
Colin believes that he witnessed
his ability to divide their time between struggling to survive and just enjoying life, which sets Our young calf is nearly a year old now. He's still an infant in the dolphin world.
Even on the fringe of empire.
Tin can.
Before an awesome task, finding her baby somewhere among
Males
the
for the right to
massive
mate.
wings.
Their fighting leaves scars. This is a serious business. The battling takes its toll. While a female may... A bottle-nosed male may not make 30.
He's moved several feet away. As she looks for him, other hungry...
But even here, truth may prove stranger than Hollywood's wildest fictions.
Courting the same female for hours.
Narcisse. He was filmed by a BBC camera crew in Haiti in 1981. 18 years, he had been buried in this now empty grave. According to hospital records, he had been declared dead on May 5th, 1982.
Female receptive.
Now arms go to straight position.
Will often mate with...
Discover him dazed and confused, working in an isolated village. Guard examined the fingerprint evidence. Finally, the authorities announced their findings. Clervius Narcisse may have been buried, but he had never died. He was instead a zombie.
Time for the baby bats.
20,000 Romans lived here.
This milestone,
Some
leaving home,
dimensions,
is
with
perilous for
50
all
rooms
young
or more.
animals.
By voodoo definition, a zombie is an individual who has had their soul stolen by sorcery, brought into the grave, somehow magically resuscitated from the grave in this
Just once a year, some of the termites reach sexual maturity and take wing, away from the safety of the nest. Now they are kings and queens, and ready to start new colonies of their own.
Resting on the headrest. The praying motion. Your hands folded in front of you, knees at a 45-degree angle, and up for a count of 2, and down. That's it. Crunch it up.
Were cosseted in an almost impregnable fortress.
On shorelines of the world.
Just
It's a tragic mystery. Each draws a
You
powerful
put that
emotional
coffee on
response.
while I was in here. 10 minutes later.
Okay, single count. 1. Feel that contraction.
Darkness overspread
Still
us,
working.
not like that of a moonless or cloudy
Take a look around inside? No, I thought we'd best wait till Mr. Humphreys came.
lamp.
Let's see what happened to the lights.
The fish were sorted and loaded onto conveyor belts.
Those fuses were yanked out of
The
them
cleaning and cutting was
Which
done
is a
either by
remarkable
machines
example
or
of
by
loyalty
hand.
from the human.
Count 2.
The raw salmon was then packed into cans.
Detector caller met
It
part.
is unlikely such
The
a fate
can-
will befall our young bottled-nosed calf. Much has happened since his mother led a helpless infant to his first breath of air, since he learned to swim, to surf.
Important labels were applied. Early labels portrayed stereotypical images of native people.
And develop his own signature whistle, the first
patriotic themes.
Although he will continue to suckle from his mother for just over a year, he's preparing.
And of course, there was the ever-popular Mountie.
He is learning how to belong.
You're not sure where to focus. You focus on the overhead bar.
By the 1970s, the canning industry was in serious
heartbeat, no respiration. The body temperature is 58 degrees
Gulf of
Fahrenheit.
Georgia cannery has been preserved. Visitor, taste of what life is like on cannery. It's virtually all that's left of
mysteries of their world.
Once the biggest employer.
We can be sure of one thing. Our
Made the first
fascination
systematic excavation of
Magic
Pompeii.
of Dolphins will last.
On a hunch
Leg. Yep, to start.
Looks like we got robbery.
made by human
Homicide. Mr. Humphreys, may I have an inventory of your loss with a detailed description?
ashen mold.
We can give you that.
The victims who
There's something wrong about the washroom being...
I realized that that was my dead body lying on the table, that it was okay. That was fine. If that's the way it was supposed to be, that was fine. The next thing that I was aware of was something began to pull me. And as I was being pulled, I
rose
distinctly
20 feet off the ground.
She was wearing light. Everyone that I was with was wearing light, as if it was clothing, seemed to emanate from them. It was alive, and this light was all over everyone there. And I do remember thinking, I'm standing in the breath of God. And I ran into all kinds of people. I ran into two people I didn't even know had passed away on the other side. Most of them I was related to. They were family members, and I knew many of them. But there were many, many, many more that I did not know. They knew me. There was some kind of connection. They knew me. There came a time when I was to return to the body. My uncle brought me back. And that was okay.
Use it when you come up.
Back, and I looked at the body. I didn't want to get in it at all. It looked kind of like a train wreck, and I knew it was going to hurt a lot. And I had the sensation of being pushed, like whoosh, back into the body. Immediately, I felt like I'd been pushed into a pool full of ice water. I don't know what it means. What it means to me is, regardless of what caused it, it was a wonderful, healing experience that taught me that there is nothing at all to be fearful about in dying. The natural process of death. Regardless of where you sit on this issue, it doesn't matter, does not matter. For me, rising up out of that body and feeling that perfect peace and harmony with the entire world, being able to carry a goodly bit of that back with me. I can only say wonderful things about dying, wonderful things, nothing to fear. Nothing at all to fear.
we are a much more mysterious creature than we imagine. We really don't understand the nature of the universe in which we live. Strangely, if you look at the ancient texts,
courtship, mating, and bearing young, that the young elephants form the network of relationships that will guide.
Drive to dominate the ancient world, to create eternal empires.
Succeed in unlocking this mystery, only to have their knowledge lost in the course of time. Perhaps there are still secrets waiting to be deciphered in the hidden order of the stones. But in the face of such unexplained mysteries, we may have to make a choice between science and belief.
Two, one. Good work. Okay, time for cool down. Legs out flat.
Arabian Peninsula. The Red Sea plays host to a wealth of marine life. As dolphins inhabit all the oceans of the world, we find them here too. We can come close to perhaps the most easily recognized dolphin species.
But they are wary of the water, and with good reason.
This family group, consisting inhabit the sea's most northern point, off the coast.
But for some of the chicks, this first dip will be their last.
Or a birth. This female is nearing the end of a year-long pregnancy. She stays as energy as possible to get the air she needs. Heavy with a calf weighing over 40 pounds.
Knees to your chest.
She can still swim gracefully.
Hold.
But it is time.
Turn over on our tummies. And press up. And
This is a vulnerable time.
The sensational nature of the case made it hard to separate the science from the fiction. Still, the
Once past the seals, they are almost certainly safe. They must find food, but in time, and without they will return to the breeding colony and continue their own odyssey to life's great master.
Meanwhile, the family have heard the news. They all come out to greet him.
Time Union. The leaders of the province of Canada, which had earlier brought Ontario and Quebec together, Maritime Conference and made history.
But it would take more than gunpowder to destroy this symbol of a remarkable era.
Second gulp of air, the hole closes, and an adult can go under for 5 minutes. Once they do, their body is
the reporter
transferring
to the house.
85% more oxygen from the lungs to the system than humans. In the shadow of his mother,
As horrified as I was, and still there were things just taking off and flying across the room, people ducking.
Our young guide into the
nourriture faible en matière grasse et riche en fibres. Voilà ce que ça prend pour rester en forme.
C'est bien vrai. Au fil des ans, Harl et moi avons aidé les gens à rester en forme grâce à nos 3 clés du succès. Bien manger, faire de l'aérobie et raffermir ses muscles.
Doubts
related and equally intelligent species, the beautiful spot.
During the 5th century BC, Athens grew more powerful as many cities
studied groups of wild dolphins in the world.
Manger, c'est suivre un régime alimentaire équilibré.
Complexities of their lives. Slightly.
One of the most sensational elements of the case was the so-called levitation photograph, taken by
born with
remote-controlled camera. It shows Janet in midair with her sister screaming. It was immediate front-page material.
Investigators were convinced.
Like all dolphins, evolved over millions of years from land-based mammals.
So the buildings rose, as imposed.
These patterns of bubbles can be an indication of anger and irritation.
The ghost voice.
Sometimes
Brûler la graisse et les calories.
Circular pattern.
It's the end of a bitter winter.
To how these animals coordinate their lives and convey information.
That's not my name.
Et
in the red
ferme. Alors nous pas si vous voulez perdre du.
Well, I thought it was discarded. He's coming from nowhere.
Now look, old man, you're drunk and I'm busy, so beat it, will you?
No, beat it. No, but I tell you, he's there somewhere, mister. Please, let me...
Okay. That concludes tonight's session. I hope you enjoyed it. What can I say? It was an interesting one. I hope you enjoyed the, Joanne McCanson? No. Hal Johnson and Joanne McLeod. Okay, well, on that note, I think we're gonna have to just stop the stream, or should I say, end the stream. Thank you for watching, everybody. We had up to 3 streamers. I know there's lots of people that watch it after the fact. And yeah, it's a great thing to just throw on and see where it goes, right? You don't know what's gonna come down the pipe, right? Could be birds, could be dolphins, could be dolphins. Let's see here. Here's some dolphins. Oh yeah, there's some dolphins right there. I like the dolphins. Matter of fact, I always enjoy a good dolphin stream. All right, on that note, we are going to end it on purple like we normally do. Thanks for watching, everybody, and that's a wrap on tonight's stream. We call it a video jam. A video jam.